Baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
I was almost dead last night because of Dallas Braden. Dallas Braden almost had me killed last night.
What happened, bro?
You good? I'm good now. I'm good now thanks to the receipts. But this all goes back to Dallas Braden. Last night, we're going to record an episode of Section 10. My girlfriend's here. She's like, I've never been in the bathtub before. I want to take a bath. I was like, cool. I was like, there's some bubble bath in the second drawer there. She's like, cool. So I'm doing my notes for the show or whatever. She walks in my office. She's like, the fuck is this? And I turn around. I look at it. She's like, whose tube top is this? And I was like, that's not a tube top. And she's like, the fuck is it? And I was like, my podcast co-host Dallas Braden, he was calling me fat, and I was like, I was like a little fluffy, and it's the thing that you like put on under your t-shirt to like
fucking man specs. She fucking found your man specs.
I was like, it's the thing you put on under your t-shirt to kind of like suck your fluff in. And so I had to pull up my Amazon to be like, no, like, see, it's right here. Like, that's what it is. I was like, it's not a tube top. So Dallas's fat shaming almost caused hell in my household last night. Did I cut out?
No, but the fucking Siri, she's talking to me again. I got to take the hat off. We're good to go.
This dude's got like fucking pitch comm like for a podcast. He's just like, he's trying to like give out takes and it's like change up, down, low, fastball in.
Dude, so everything's good though. You survived the receipts.
Everything's
to Amazon.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I pulled up the receipts. I was like, listen. I was like, I understand. I understand what this looks like, but this is purely just this is like a fat sucker for under a t-shirt. Yep. Which I don't need anymore. I've dropped the fluff from last year. I got a stair stepper. I cut out soda from my diet. I've cut back on the chocolate cake.
Chocolate milk.
So I don't do dairy anymore.
Wow.
Yeah.
No
cut
dairy,
out dairy.
no
cut
soda.
out soda. Cut out chocolate cake. Yeah. So I'm not at like a great weight, but like as far as like being fluffy, I'm not fluffy anymore.
So would you still categorize yourself as unhealthy? You're stuck.
Yeah. I would.
How much do you weigh?
185?
185.
It's probably a sloppy 185 too. Like not a.
Well, I'm jacked as fuck, dude. Like, and I've been doing legs. So I think like a lot of that weight just got added to my lower half.
Probably.
Mm-hmm. I got a fat ass. I got a juicy ass now, as they say in the biz. But shout out to Jay Hay. Drove from Connecticut. The only person on the podcast that was willing to drive from out of state. Joey said he wouldn't do it. Dallas wouldn't drive from out of state.
Not my contract, boss.
and it doesn't count when you can drive to 36 states within an hour of where you guys live. Like that's just not. It doesn't.
Yeah. Well, Jay Hay was at the opening day stream, which we streamed for almost 10 hours, and I know that we promised Dallas Braden a Dallas Braden appearance on it, but we couldn't hear him unless everyone had headphones, and we were like, we can't. We've got like fucking 20 people here. We're not gonna be able to do that. Yeah. So we'll find a way. We'll find the technology to be able to incorporate. I don't know when we're gonna do one again, but the opening day dong gong, big hit in the streets. People
literally.
Jay, how'd it feel? How'd it feel to whack that dong gong?
It felt great. I left the building feeling like I wish I had unleashed a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah, you took it easy on there.
You didn't. I mean, you gotta fuck. Jay, hey, come on. When's the next time you're gonna get to gong a dong?
Well, the other question is when was the most recent time prior to then that I had banged a gong? You know what I mean? And it had been a long time, so I didn't want to come in too hot, you know? But it was great. It was a great experience. The gong and the stream.
Mm-hmm.
I would do it again.
Yeah. I don't know when we would do it for, but I mean, definitely the playoffs, which Dallas, I mean, the A's have no fucking shot. So you'll probably be able to come on out for a playoff stream. You
saying it's okay that I plan for October? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Yeah. We could probably book that right now. Be like, hey, game one, first slate, Dallas Braden, Jay Hay. I don't know, what's your appearance fee, Joe, for something like that?
For playoffs?
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna be at the Braves game.
Oh,
so, wow! I might not be able to make it. Damn. You guys want to come? I could probably get you in the dugout.
Could you? We were in Atlanta last year. You didn't have any pull.
Things have changed, brother.
Yeah.
I'm basically part of the team, and I thank you for doing the chop. You want me to do like a monologue on the Braves? We cover the Braves?
Yeah, go ahead. I mean, you brought them up.
The Braves are looking good. Braves beat the Phillies. Mm-hmm. Made them look like the Philadelphia Sillies. They got their ass beat 2-3. And it was easy, dude. And honestly, I'll say this about I'm off the Phillies. I think I fucking hate the Phillies now. I used to like the Phillies. I was a Phillies guy. I was the Phillies guy of the podcast. But now I don't even like them. I think they're annoying. Bad news for the Phillies. Bryce Harper's hurt, and they won't tell people. But I saw him go over the dugout railing, hurt his hand, didn't play the next day. They say he's resting. Scheduled off day, third game of the season, after you just had a rain out.
That is a little sus.
It's sus, and he had a very big opportunity to come in against a righty pinch hit situation in the 7th or 8th, and they put in fucking Marsh instead of Harper.
Yeah.
So I don't want to ring alarm bells, ring the Liberty Bell, but Bryce Harper is injured right now.
Joe, did anybody try to help Bryce Harper as he was coming over the rail? Did anybody from the opposing team try to help Bryce?
On the opposing team?
Yeah. Or
I don't think anyone
was this play in his dugout?
This play was in the camera well.
Okay,
but
so
his own team didn't even help him. I don't believe.
Well, he's in the camera well. What are they going to do if it's in the dugout? They can help. I was asking if it was, if he's going over the rail into his own dugout, is he going over the rail into his opponent's dugout, or if he's going into the rail in the camera? Well, I don't expect anybody with a camera down there to try to help him. They're probably trying to get the hell out of the way and save their $10,000 cameras.
Well, don't you think their second baseman or shortstop, or maybe their catcher comes over and gives Bryce a hand? I don't know. I'm just saying the Phillies, I'm off the Phillies. I don't think they're going to be good this year.
Wow.
And fuck them. The Braves are going to be good this year. I watched the Braves win 2 out of 3. I think this is a playoff team. Did you see Chris Sale? Nasty.
Yeah.
Had a great outing. Was all over pitching ninja.
Yep. Gave up a bomb, a Schwarbomb.
We gave up a Schwarbomb. That happens. That was a good hit. I'll give him that. Who else do the Braves like? I like Kelenic and Duvall, the platoon in left field. That's probably the best platoon in the league. The Braves got Duvall for $3 million, and it's just like you see him in a Braves uniform, and you're like, this guy is gonna hit 1,000 home runs. Same thing with Jesse Chavez. Stole him back.
Yep.
I mean, how do they keep getting away with this?
Yep.
How about Matty O? Can we talk about Matty O? Coming out hot.
3 doubles first game, home run the second game.
It's pretty good.
Coming out hot.
Platinum glove.
Platinum O.
Yeah.
We're spanking it the other way, Joe. Driving balls the other way. Just flicking it.
Yeah.
Well, and Michael Harris is talking shit on Twitter.
Sure is.
That's getting people,
What did he say?
I don't know. He just starts saying thanks, Phillies fans, and then starts replying to everybody talking shit to him, which kind of came out of nowhere, but I respect it. I got my guys back 100%.
Weren't they they were probably obviously chirping him at the game, I assume.
I assume the Phillies fans were being disrespectful to Michael Harris in center field. That's a safe bet because they're not good people and they're fake blue collar. And I used to be a Phil's guy. I'm not a Phil's guy anymore.
A lot of strong words early, Joe.
He's kind of coming in hot.
The only Phillies fan I like is the Philly captain. I like the Philly captain, but everyone else, I'm off the Phils.
Damn.
Just like that this weekend.
Took one weekend. He's out on the Phils. Speaking of the Phils, Rhys Hoskins has a new home, already making friends in Queens. The Brew Crew rolls into Queens City Field. And
could you say slides into City Field?
I could say he slid into City Field. Yeah. Yeah. Who's having more fun than the Brew Crew right now? You've got
all of us.
We're having a great time. Pirates having a great time. Braves having a great time. Guards having a great time. The Red Sox, we're having an okay time. Like we're having a Red Sox time. Like we're having like good times. With
You're interested in having a better time.
Yeah, we're definitely interested in having a better time. But I would say as of right now, like we're somewhere between furious and elated.
It's a good place to be. This early, that's a good place to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's very interesting that, the first series of the season, we've already had like multiple fights and people are just pissed. Like,
they're not here for it.
Coming out of COVID, when everyone, like, do you remember that when they brought the fans back after COVID and everyone just started fighting each other because they didn't know how to act? Like, that's how like this off season has been, where players are just like, oh, we're playing again. We're around people. We got to fucking fight. Like, I'm not used to being around this many people. And we had two Donnybrooks in the opening weekend, which is very exciting. I love a good skirmish.
Couple of little fracasses. We're gonna start with Rhys Hoskins.
Have to, yeah. I mean that's got to be the story of the weekend, is it not?
So, I mean, let's start here.
Was it a dirty slide?
The only thing I could say about the slide is that it was maybe a little late. That's it. That's all
legal
I got for
slide.
You.
Yeah, as long as you're you're touching the bag, you can touch the bag, and if you don't go past the bag, and he stayed on the bag.
He literally held the bag. So literally, figuratively, he was holding the bag. That means he held onto the bag. He did not slide past the bag. He held the bag. He was completely within his legal right to slide. Jeff McNeil did not like it. Jared, your manager, Alex Cora, and I had a conversation about this a long time ago. How the mechanics of middle infielders and the work around the bag has gotten lazy because guys are trying to use the rule and use the bag as a defense mechanism, and they're just not mobile. They're not maintaining the athleticism through the play. They're getting lazy with their footwork. And when you get lazy with your footwork, you can put yourself in a vulnerable position if you're playing the game against somebody who's playing the game hard and playing the game in the way that Rhys Hoskins wanted to play the game that day. And again, I have no argument for you if you want to say, bro, you don't think that slide was a little late? I'm with you. Maybe a little late. But as far as, like, was his spike in his inner thigh? No.
I think the question, because where I land on it is you have two questions. Is the slide legal? Yes. Was there intent to injure? No. I don't like Rhys, because if the John Boy breakdown, the lip reading thing, Jeff McNeil says something like, we've got video of him doing this all the time or something like that. It was something along those lines, paraphrasing. But he says like he's one of like the dirtiest players. Like what examples can you recall of Rhys Hoskins being a dirty player?
They got the video. John Boy also went in.
Well, they
got the videos of him sliding in the past.
Yeah,
and they're kind of the same thing. They're kind of like similar to this play where it's legal, maybe a little late, but it's kind of borderline. You could say dirty, maybe if you're sensitive and you have weak ankles. But if you also could say hard-nosed player goes ham.
Yeah, that like, because I saw that I think there's 4 videos that they posted of Rhys Hoskins going to second base, right? And that's against McNeil specifically. And not one of those double plays has been turned. Not one of them has been turned. So what would you say? If you're on Rhys Hoskins' team, I bet you appreciate that. If you're on Jeff McNeil's team, I bet you wish that double play gets turned. So let me ask you this. Rhys Hoskins has been dirty every time, but has never been ejected for it? Or is Jeff McNeil using the bag in a way that it probably shouldn't be used, or thinking he's using the bag in a way it shouldn't be used, and he's expecting somebody to be playing the game the way he's playing the game? Which is more likely here?
It's a meet the parent situation where Jeff McNeil's like, it's just a game, fucker. Like, I think Jeff McNeil's looking at it as you don't have to go, like, it's legal. It's a legal slide, but you don't have to go in so hard, because if you go in that late, that hard, now I fucking snap my fibula. Then it's like, okay, like now I'm out for the season because you went in so hard. But it's like, well, that's part of the game, brother. Like,
don't
I'm trying to break up the double play, and I did that successfully, and I did that multiple times.
Can't just anchor yourself to the bag.
Yeah,
you like, got to move. Like I mean,
his goal is to break up the double play, which he did legally. Yes,
that's his goal.
You don't have to like it. You don't have to like it, because it does put the shortstop or the second baseman in a position where they could get injured. But as long as the intent is to break up the double play and the intent is not to injure, like, because, you know, there have been times like fucking Manny Machado, you know, ending Dustin Pedroia's career. Like, there's been intent to injure with runners going into second base before. Like, we're not going to sit here and say that that's never happened. Of course it's happened. In the case of Rhys Hoskins, there's no intent to injure. No. There's intent to break up the double play.
And here's the thing. If you have a guy like Petey, who in his career had no problem flying across the bag and getting out of the way and continuing the play, trying to make a throw. I'm not trying to compare the gameplay of the 70s and 80s and 90s and even early 2000s when I was playing, when guys would get fucking sent into left field. The game has changed, and I am fully respectful of that, fully understanding of that. So I'm not telling Jeff McNeil specifically to toughen up in that regard, and damn, he's lucky that he didn't get sent into left field. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that you don't get to just anchor yourself to the bag anymore, hoping that somebody has shut the play down the same way you have in your head. Because when you get to first base, and he knows this as a player, and say you're there via fielder's choice because you beat it out on the back end of the double play, and now there's one out. What do you want to do if you're on first base as a runner and you see another ground ball hit to the shortstop or the second baseman? You have one goal in mind, one objective. Do not let the second out at second base become a third out at first base. You need to break that double play up by any means necessary. Any means necessary means within the confines of the rule book, within the textual confines of the parameters placed on the execution of the slide. It was reviewed. It was deemed legal. You got to be better around the bag.
Jay Hay, the voice of reason on the podcast. Where did you land on the Rhys Hoskins slide and the aftermath of the slide, which that's a whole separate, we'll get to the Yohan Ramírez incident, but first and foremost, the slide. Where were you at on that?
I don't really have anything to add beyond what you and Dallas just discussed. I lean in favor of Rhys Hoskins on this, and I don't think the action warranted the response.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should we throw out his charity again?
Yeah. What was it?
Because he came on. Remember, he came on.
Yeah, he did. So Jeff McNeil also, he was a starting 9 alum. Rhys Hoskins, 2-timer on the podcast. So I hate seeing friends fight like this, but I think it was more of like a built up thing with McNeil being like, this is not the first time that he slid in that hard, and it is what it is. Like, if it was someone else, I don't think it becomes the incident that it became. Very next day, and I'm watching the game on my phone. I got Mets Brewers on, and Rhys Hoskins comes to the play, which, by the way, Mets faithful, they boo the shit out of him. He's like, thanks very much. Here's a fucking 2-run knock. Here's a bomb. He just goes off. Like, I was like, this dude was born in the fire. This dude played his entire career in Philadelphia. Your boos just give him power. There's nothing more to that. Like, you can't, he was baptized in the flames. So he goes off offensively. And then you have a situation where you're down, I think 5. It was maybe a 6-1 ball game off the top of my head, I think. Something like that. 5-1, 6-1. And Yohan Ramírez throws a seed behind. And people on Twitter got way, like, I muted the conversation. I was like, anytime stuff like this happens, like, there's just no discourse. It's just, I feel how I feel, you feel how you feel, and we're just going to scream at each other, and no one's changing anybody's opinions on that. So I have no interest in joining that conversation because it's not one. But the fastball goes kind of like, but it's behind his back, but it's shoulder height. So Rhys Hoskins is pointing out to Ramírez, saying, like, he points to his ass. He's like, if you're going to throw at me, hit me in the ass, like not in the head. He points to his head. And I said, this is in the Mets broadcast kind of said this before I even had the tweet. I was just kind of agreeing with them, but they were like, it's kind of lame to do it in that spot. Like if you're pissed about the slide, you get that out of the way in the first at bat. Like why wait until his third at bat to take action on something like that and to throw at his head? Like, we've never had more velocity in the game than right now. And the pitch was like fucking 99 miles an hour. And I said, it was like, don't throw at someone's head. And now it's a semantics battle because I've got people being like, we didn't throw at his head. Like he threw it behind his back. It was head level. Like it was head height. It definitely, he wasn't trying to hit him in the ass. We know that. Like it was a lot closer to his fucking head than it was his ass. So that was the main point. It became like this semantics thing where it's like, it wasn't actually at his head. It was behind his back. It's like, it was closer to his fucking head. Like the intent the intent was up, not down.
Yeah. And I think the idea that the game was where it was is what made them feel like, all right, fine, we'll do it now. And the reason they didn't do it early is because they probably felt like, we don't want to put somebody on base. We're not trying to give them an opportunity. That's all part of, if you're going to handle this, if you're going to police yourself, if you're going to address it this way, that's part of the give and take of this. That's just how that goes. So you're either going to settle it now and say, you know what? We don't stand for that shit. And we'll start our own little mess by putting your ass on first base. If it means we throw a four-seamer through your fucking rib cage, we'll do that.
Yeah.
We'll do that. And then we'll get you out and we'll go on about our business. And you know what?
Yeah.
If we throw one through your rib cage and you end up coming around and scoring, guess what? That's pie on our face. And we're going to have to live with that too. But at the end of this, you're not going to second guess how we feel. You're not going to leave here wondering how we felt about that. And if that's the message you're intent on sending, coming from Ron Darling, like it did, that's what you need to understand. That's why you handle it right then and there. Let's leave nothing to discover. Let's leave nothing to the imagination. This is how we feel. Let's roll up the sleeves. And I also, again, Joe, if they're able to squab it out for 30 seconds at second base, if McNeil really wanted the smoke, if he was really about that action, he could have gone at Rhys Hoskins. They could have had their time in the sun. Both guys could have gone back to the dugout and everything would have been good, right? But it didn't happen. We're not allowed to do that. Only in hockey do they celebrate that. So instead, we have benches clear, bullpens come out for no big deal.
Yeah.
So you think 100% that was on purpose, that pitch?
Yes. Without question. Like, it's just, when do you see a dude miss that badly to where the ball hits the fucking backstop behind someone's head and it's the guy in question? Like it would be one thing if it's like, Yelly was having his MVP season. Like, we've seen that before where someone does something dirty and you go after that team's best player. Like if it was behind Christian Yelich's head in 2019, then it's like, all right, yeah, like, you take out our best guy, we take out your best guy. It's not necessarily the guy in question, but for it to be behind Rhys Hoskins' fucking head after he homered and drove in 2 runs on either a base hit or a double, whatever it was, like, yeah, like there's no question that it was intentional. But my question to you, Dallas, as a former player, I know that we all kind of agree that it's not the spot to do it in, like when you're losing and he's already been up twice prior to that. There was still another game the next day. So isn't it more traditionally that if you're going to get a guy, it's in the series finale because it's like, all right, now you can't get us back type deal, or at least until we meet each other again, which they're obviously going to play each other again. But when you throw behind a guy's head like that, now you're putting your own teammates in danger because we still got to play again tomorrow.
Trust me, man. I said this. I tweeted this. If I was one of the Mets players who's going to get drilled now, I'd probably go and have a conversation with somebody in my own dugout before I go out and get the guy who drilled me. You know what I mean? Like, just because you understand why we're in this situation now, right? Yeah. So leaving the series finale with that kind of taste in your mouth never sets well with guys, but that's why we talk about baseball players having memories like elephants, because that's a tactic. Absolutely. This is the last time I'm going to see you all year, and this is your last at bat here. guess what? You're going to sew this one on and wear it all off season. And the response to that is, no problem. See you next year. You think I forgot? Oh, you think I forgot? Hunter Strickland? Bryce Harper?
Yeah, throw Bryce Harper like 6 years later.
You think I forgot? Like, I went through 2 rehabs, a DFA, a fucking tour through indie ball, and I got my ass back here. And guess what? You're wearing one.
Yeah, and we make fun of that dude.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, Jay, whether
I'm not arguing with you,
agreeable or not. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I feel like my only take on this is that I feel like we've gotten to a point with throwing at guys wherever you're aiming, really, where the vast majority of instances, I don't know what percentage it is, but the vast majority, it's loser behavior. It just is. And I don't know whether it was always that way, whether it was that way when Dallas played, whether it was that way in the 90s and 70s or whatever. But now, when it happens, the vast majority of times I'm like, well, that pitcher or that manager or whoever, whatever tandem called for this, that's loser shit. As far as I'm concerned.
I'm trying to think of like I honestly, and these are just off the top of my head. I forget who CC drilled, but when he drilled the guy, because their guy got drilled, and he was like, "Fuck your." Yeah, he's like, fuck your bonus. I don't care about the bonus and finishing this. I'm drilling you because that's what I do.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars, right?
It's like
that was then reimbursed.
Yes,
but that was then reimbursed by the organization. They broke him off. And so, so just think about the context of that right there, Jay. A guy drills another dude on purpose, right? And I know you're not calling that loser behavior. Neither am I. He drills him on purpose. The team knows that he's about to hit a benchmark that's going to cost them $500,000. And he effectively costs himself that legally based on the transaction of the contract. Like, sorry, dude, we don't owe you that, CC. And he's like, I understand, man. No problem. I don't give a shit about that. The message that was sent to those dudes and the message that was sent to my boys in the clubhouse, that's all I give a shit about. And that was well worth $500,000, especially when I got the cake I do in my bank account. So in the context of how the game polices itself and allows it to take care of itself and how we feel about things like that, that's a prime example of baseball essentially kind of going, yep, all good with that, no problem. And then the Jared Weaver drilling fucking Kyle Seager, right?
Yeah.
Like, timeout. Hold on, bro. Come on, give me the. And and what we've said is like, bro, you're getting all of my 84 right in the fucking ass, dude. Like, clean this shit up. Who are you? Right? And everybody's like, you know what, dude? Like, all good. We're okay with that. All good. So I'm just trying to think of other times
still
that
play
has
the
happened.
audio from that interview, by the way. Like, we did that in 2017 or 18. We had Weave come on and tell that story. And I still see like TikToks and YouTube videos that clip the audio from him telling that story to this day. We never get credit for it, but like that's where the story came from.
And like I think about like my rookie year, one of the bench clearing brawls that we were in. It was because, and we find out this later, like Vicente Padilla, like, you know, dude just did not like a lot of people. A lot of people didn't like Vicente Padilla. But he ended up just drilling Swisher. Like I think he was like 3-0 on Swisher, and then was like, fuck it, I'll just drill him. Like, he missed him a couple times and said, to hell with it. I'm just going to keep throwing at him until I hit him. And
that one's
I don't
hard
know
to
how
argue
much
with too much. Yeah. I feel like we've all probably been there. Yeah.
and I don't know how many dudes in the game today are taking that approach to their presence on the mound. Like, yo, 1-0, fuck it. I missed him. 2-0, fuck it. But buddy, what are you doing? I know, my bad. Let me get a new ball. Rub it up. 3-0, fuck, missed him. 4-0, right in the fucking ribs. Got him. Like, I don't know how many guys are doing that today in today's game. Yeah. Can you think of anybody?
Well, you're probably going to get ejected after the second one. And if the other team knows it's happening, they're going to speak up. Like, I think the leash on pitchers is way shorter.
Yeah, say you sail one, no warning. You sail another one, warning. And then you drill somebody. I don't know. I don't know if I've got a guy in my head right now that is going to throw the third fastball in somebody's back. I don't know.
And if that happened, I don't know if the reaction would be loser behavior. And I would say that's bullshit.
Well, that's where, interpretation is what it is. But that's where I think like the game has the game has changed. And you don't ever want to see, that's why guys are so sensitive about it getting thrown at their head. The type of, like Jared said, the type of velocity that's in today's game, you don't ever want to take somebody's career or life into your hands. And that's what the head sort of represents, right? You could quite literally put somebody's lights out. It's happened. And I know you can say, well, what happens if you drill me in the hand and you break my hand and I'm never the same? I can't argue with that. I get it. But that's just part of how this thing has gone. That's part of how the game has been played.
Dodge it.
Yeah, I mean, I wish
that's an all-time
was
Joe clip from, what was that, when the Mets kept getting thrown at last year or the year before?
It's always the Mets. They're always involved with this dumb shit, dude. They're losers. Did you see their prospect Mark Vientos liked the post of Rhys Hoskins hitting the bomb on Instagram? Mm-hmm. Mark Vientos, I guess their prospect who just got sent down because they signed JD Martinez, wasn't very happy about being sent down. Sees the clip on Instagram of Rhys Hoskins owning the Mets, puts a like on it for the world to see, and the Mets fans are not happy. And Luis Angel Acuna, my man, younger brother, also gave it a like.
Oh.
So, yeah, tough fucking starts to the season for the Mets, man. I kind of starting to like the Mets a little bit.
Damn.
I don't know.
I'm trying to find that clip.
They might be my new second favorite NL East team.
Trying to find the Weaver clip?
No, I'm trying to find Joe's rant about dodging getting thrown at.
Oh.
Go ahead. You can.
I can just reenact it. I mean, I'm right here.
I'm right here. Anyways, even if you love beer, there's some moments that you want to enjoy without the alcohol. Celebrate those times with Blue Moon's new non-alcoholic Belgian white, Belgian style wheat brew. It's for when you want to drink your favorite beer without the alcohol. We are going to be sipping on some Blue Moons for this upcoming series, Dallas. We have Red Sox A's on deck. You guys just got throttled by the guards in J-Hay. Now you get the Red Hot Sox coming to town.
I don't know if throttled's the right word. I mean, it was a lively
I'm hesitant
series.
to use that word. Yeah. But listen, we'll have Blue Moons on deck all week for Red Sox A's. Inspired by the beer you already love and available all year round, a Belgian white, Belgian style wheat brew that tastes like drinking, even if it's not. Crafted with Valencia orange peel and coriander, it tastes balanced and refreshing. Nothing compares to the great taste of a Blue Moon non-alcoholic Belgian white, Belgian style wheat brew. Blue Moon made brighter. Get Blue Moon non-alcoholic Belgian white, Belgian style wheat brew delivered by visiting get.bluemoonbeer.com/Jared for delivery options. That is get.bluemoonbeer.com/Jared. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Non-alcoholic malt beverage, contains less than 0.5% alcohol per volume. Before we get into Red Sox A's, I'm sure that there's going to be some wagers placed here. Dallas, there's another team right
swashbuckler over at second base and give him half a fucking lead.
Yeah.
Nay. Derek Shelton, on top of being probably the sexiest manager in baseball, didn't know if you knew that.
No one knew
Joe,
it. No one
pressing all the right buttons.
No one knows who he is.
I've never heard of this guy in my life. I looked him up right before this. He's been the manager of the Pirates 4 years. I've never heard his name once. And I think that's what a manager should be, keep it low key.
That's it, Joe. It's not about him. It's not about him. It's not about him. But what we just saw the last game of the series, you got to press the right buttons. You got to be present as a manager. And I love the story. Derek Shelton takes Jason Day aside, says, hey, look, you know what? Could be a situation sometime coming up soon, sometime throughout the season. Could be a situation where we got guys in position. You're at the dish. I might think about asking you to put one down. I might ask you to safety squeeze. Just want to plant that seed. Fast forward to Easter Sunday. What happens? They find themselves in that very position. Yes, they do. That's only after a massive 3-run bomb from Rowdy Tellez, the Thundering Herd's own Rowdy Tellez.
Yeah,
3-run bomb, a fucking bomb, dead center. Stay fair. Crushed. But you get the homer. You get the work from the bullpen to keep you in the fucking ball game. And then you got the skipper who 48 hours prior basically told you that you were going to be in this situation. Told you that you were going to get the job done. And you did. So yeah, clicking on all cylinders, should I say. I'm not telling you that there's these huge, lively offensive outbursts throughout this lineup right now. That's not what's happening. You got some guys that are swinging it well, swinging it okay. It's early. But to get what you're getting out of the fucking bullpen right now and to be able to play those tight games and win those balls, that's the story right there. That's the story. This is the first time since 1903 the Pirates have started with a 4-game sweep on the road. Since 1903.
Damn.
They made it to the World Series before they got dusted by the Red Sox. Jared Jones debut, 10 punch outs in his debut. I know that a lot of attention was on the minor leagues for the Pirates as well to open the season.
Oh, buddy, Skeens.
Paul Skeens. But how about fucking Jones also being at the big league level, making his debut, 10 strikeouts, and he's sitting at 100 as well. So I resent this, by the way. There was I want to say it was on Baseball is Dead Reddit, where they said something like, I hate how whenever the Pirates come up, it's always in a mocking fashion. That's not true.
What?
The whole month of April last year, we were a Pirates podcast. We fucking led with the Pirates for a whole month. When they were winning baseball games, we talked Pirates baseball, and we talked it in a manner that was very complimentary. Yes, we did that. It's only when it deserves to be mocked is when we mock. But I think when the Pirates are in the news, no one sucks Pirates' dick more than us, harder than us.
It's the 4th time in 40 fucking years these guys have started 4-0. All right, yeah, We're going to talk about it. We're going to celebrate it. And we want it to sustain. I want it to sustain. I think baseball in general is better.
It's going to sustain.
I think the Pirates are absolutely one of those teams that baseball just has a different flavor when they're good. When they're in a conversation of, are they vying for the division? Because how long has it been since that's been a thing?
Almost 10 years? It has been 10 years.
It's a different vibe. It's just a different vibe.
Yeah. Before we continue on the Pirates discussion, I'm sure Jay Hay has some Pirates takes as a huge Pirates aficionado. Paul Skeens in his debut, 3 innings, 9 batters faced, no hits, no walks, 5 strikeouts. Just
Jared
absolutely dildoed that lineup.
and how about this? Yeah. He averaged 100 miles an hour on the 21 fastballs that he threw. Averaged 100 miles an hour on the 21 fastballs he threw. Touched 101, 101.2. didn't throw a single fastball below 99. And in the StatCast era, only DeGrom and Hunter Green have had a start with as many fastballs and a higher average fastball velocity. That's right. Jacob DeGrom, ever heard of him? Hunter Green, fucking fireballer. Those guys are in the big leagues. So since they started tracking this thing with StatCast, those are the only two dudes to have a start at the big league level with as many fastballs averaging hotter than a hundo. Paul Skeens is knocking on the door of the big leagues. He's been in pro ball for about 15 minutes.
Yep. Jay Hay, there's got to be something nice you could say about
I'm super jacked up. Yeah.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I mean, it's not like all a gimmick. I mean, the lower it stuff's funny, but like I'm not actually rooting against the Pirates necessarily. I think,
Okay.
I mean, you touched on the thing that stood out to me from an individual player perspective, and that's Jared Jones. Like that to me is a differentiating factor from where they were last season and what it even looked like they were likely to be early on this season. Because if you're envisioning a future with Skeens and Jones, and all of a sudden, you know, the richest pitcher in franchise history, Mitch Keller, is your number 3 or your number 4, depending on Martin Perez this season, like that starts to be a rotation that absolutely does look playoff eligible, particularly given the context of the NL Central that we've talked about before. And just that's the secondary thing that stood out to me is kind of the NL Central picture overall. I was looking at Fangraphs this morning, and they have all 5 teams in the Central projected between 79.7 and 81.8
82.
wins. So basically, all 5 teams between 80 and 82 wins at this point, which obviously, whatever, it's early. What does that mean? We'll see. But like, it might even be tighter than we anticipated. If the Pirates are more sustainable than they were during their April last season, which I think, provided O'Neal Cruz stays healthy, who should be their best everyday player, right? And this rotation looks like it has taken a meaningful step forward, and maybe 2 when Skeens joins it. Like that's a different animal than what the Pirates were last April heading into May. And that's why I would be much more optimistic.
Well, and that's why I wanted to point out, like, what I wanted to make sure that I touched on what the starters had done, because it wasn't super sexy, right? Not terribly sexy. Bailey Falter was not great. But Jared Jones, pitched into the 6th, I think. Mitch Keller pitched into the 6th, and Martin Perez, though he did not pitch into the 6th, I think he pitched into the 5th. Little limited damage, 1 run, I think. So the bullpen, that's why it was really important that the bullpen did what they did. And my point with all of that is, I don't know that you can ask the bullpen to do that all season long. That I don't believe is sustainable. So while it has been an incredible start for the bullpen, they will need that starting rotation to eat innings if they're going to take advantage of some of the arms they have down there.
And just to shout out, just to go back to Jones really fast too, like the data, and also like just watching it. I watched it because I got invested from a fantasy perspective, but like it looks like he has at least 2 like super legit pitches that will play at the MLB level too. Like you look at what his slider did, and it was 1 for 8 with 5 strikeouts and a whiff rate near 60%. And his fastball was similarly impressive relative to fastballs and stuff like that. And yeah, and that those 2 pitches accounted for the vast. I didn't do the percentage, but it's something like 80 or 85% of his total pitches thrown in that outing. So like a little bit of a 2-pitch thing going, but they also look super legit too.
Happy for
The Pirates playoff odds
what are
just in 4 games have basically doubled.
Love to see that.
4 games. They went from 16% to 30%.
Ooh.
They scored like through the first week, through the first series. They scored the 4th most runs in baseball. You take away the Padres, which if you think about this just real quick, the Padres have what's their run differential? I think it's +4, and they've scored 45 runs. They've scored 45 runs, and they're at a +4 run differential. But
did anyone pick O'Neal Cruz for comeback player of the year?
Yes.
Series?
Everyone? Did everyone do it?
No.
Because that seems
Oh,
the
I'm the
most
only-
obvious.
I'm the only
Just
one.
out.
Yeah.
Cheers to that.
But yeah, you take away the Dodgers and the Padres. It's the D-backs and the Guardians who are sitting at a plus 18 run differential, and it's the Buccos at a 14 plus run differential.
Yeah.
In third.
Love that for them. There's another team that has started their season 4-0 after beating the brakes off the Houston Astros.
The Yankees.
I don't even know if you can credit the whole team. I'm going to credit one guy.
Juan Soto.
I'm going to credit one guy, and it's the guy that you would expect. The only player I think that was picked by multiple panelists for MVP in the American League. And that is DC's own Juan Soto.
Juan Soto, you already know.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny watching Yankee fans like discover Juan Soto. They're like, "Wow, this guy's really good."
He's got a great eye.
Yeah, they're like, "Oh man, like he puts together great at bats." Like, yeah, no, he's been doing that. He's been doing that for a long time. Like they think that like he just puts on the pinstripes and like has like magical powers now. It's like, no, he's been this good the whole time. It's just for whatever reason you didn't see it or appreciate it the same way. But he did exactly what you would want Juan Soto to do the second that he shows up to your team. I don't know how they don't hand him a blank check. I understand that there's going to be no extent. This is not a Mookie Betts situation where he's like, "Oh, I'm going to go to free agency. Just kidding. I signed an extension." Like he's not going to be a fraud like Mookie, but he's going to free agency. He will sign for the highest amount that's available to him. But if you're the Yankees, you have no excuse not to be that team. Like he's a perfect fit. I hate to say it. He's a perfect fit with this team.
There's nothing wrong with saying that, because I think as far as what Juan Soto, I think ultimately wants to get out of his baseball career, this is a great place for all of that to come to fruition.
Sure.
And because he wants to be a star, and he is a star in his own right. And that can happen in New York, no doubt about it. And he's got some guys in the lineup, or at least one guy in that lineup that he'd be able to feed off of, that they're going to be able to work in unison with, right? And he's got some things lined up, they believe, on the arm side that they should be able to be competitive. And it's a front office that if you have a guy like this, like you have an Aaron Judge, you want to keep them around because you want to be able to build around these dudes. And it's not every club that has an opportunity to put two megastars like that together in their lineup at a point in time in their careers where you could really capitalize on prime years. You can really capitalize. This is an opportunity for the Yankees to get back to being that empire. I question whether or not or how much Scott Boras affects how that can go. And the only reason I say that now is because we have just watched it play out over this offseason. And it's happened in years past. The playing field is leveled when it comes to teams having information and valuing players to a certain extent. So his job in terms of trying to sell or upsell Juan Soto, I don't know how much he can really do. I don't know how big of an impact he can really have. It feels like Juan Soto almost might be at a spot where Boras could only hurt him.
Well, that's more than fair given what we've just seen this past offseason.
Exactly.
But I think if you're Scott Boras, you put out a statement to every team saying, if the number doesn't start with a 5, you're not getting a call back. You know, like that's like they're going to be in such a position of power when this is all said and done. But if you're the Yankee, it's not like, you know, when David Ortiz emerged, it's not like they were like, oh, you know, well, we already have Manny. We don't need to take care of Poppy too. It's like, no, what if we put them both together? What happens? You win multiple championships. So yeah, I kind of, because of how, you know, when this offseason in particular, when you lose Garrett Cole, when Jordan Montgomery is out there and you have that familiarity, when Blake Snell is just sitting out there and they still didn't sign, I think it's because they're preparing to go all in on Soto. It's like, you know, I think Yankee fans were looking at it as, we just lost Garrett Cole. We traded for Juan Soto. We don't know if he's going to be here beyond this year. How are we not enforcing the team for this year that could be our only year with Juan Soto. It's because I think that they're preparing to make sure that this is not the only year that Juan Soto's in the Bronx. Like it's like, why sacrifice our chances to bring back Soto beyond this year by going out and getting Blake Snell? Like, instead of going all in on 2024, let's go all in on the next 10 years because we have Judge here too.
But why can't they take a page out of the Dodgers playbook and talk to Juan Soto about deferring money so that, hey, check it out. We're going to have our conversations about the next decade plus with you, okay? You know that, we know that. Whether we're able to come to terms on that, I really hope you'll listen to us and hear us out. But here's the deal. We are going to pay you so much fucking money, and you are going to be so insanely rich that you will have no problem with letting us be a little more flexible in the early part of our deal so that we can continue to keep you insulated. We can put arms on the mound for you. We can put protection around you in the lineup. We can do everything we need to do. They're doing it with Shohei Ohtani in Los Angeles. Why can't we do that here? What is preventing you from doing that here? Aside from the difference in marketability, you have to understand that those are just two different tiers. So once you've come to peace with that, what is preventing you from turning Juan Soto into your Shohei Ohtani?
Well, from a contract standpoint, yes, I agree. From a marketing standpoint, it's like you're in New York. Like, it's almost like the team brand is bigger than any of the players, unless you're Derek Jeter. But Judge is the guy. I think, when he first got there, kind of hearing, and I'm sure maybe Dallas, you heard some of the same stuff, just like the makeup of Juan Soto when he was in San Diego led me to believe like, oh, he's going to go to the Bronx and he's going to use that as his tool, as like a hop off. Like, I'm going to go there and become even more of a star, and then I'm going to cash out with whoever I'm going to cash out with. But the more we talk about the fit, the more I just have it in my head, there's no way he's going anywhere else.
Well, you see how excited he is and how pumped up he was, just in these first 4 games of the season, right? And you almost get a sense like, where does he feel, or where do you think he could be that happy that's a viable landing spot? Or where do you think that he would be that excited to go and play?
Well, Mookie's a shortstop now, so right field is open. Imagine.
I think the Dodgers have some things to figure out.
Yeah.
You see that?
What do you mean?
Bob Nightingale says that Roki Sasaki already to the Dodgers done deal, basically, which would be
well.
insane.
They had to.
I would
hate
that.
They had to implement a rule so people could you just weren't able to continue to pay people to talk to Sasaki.
Yeah, but I mean, it didn't Hideo Nomo, and I learned this in Joe's video. He basically retired from baseball so that he could become. I know they changed the rules since then, but he retired from baseball in Japan so that he could become eligible to play in Major League Baseball sooner. Like, Sasaki has been trying to leave Japan for a year now. Like, if he has already picked the team that he wants to play for, he's like, yeah, I'm a Dodger the second that I'm able to be a Dodger. Man, they are building something that they're gonna have to change the rules for. Like Manfred's gonna have to like step in and be like, no, like you can't. No, you're not allowed to sign him.
They did. They said you can't communicate. They're like, no longer are organizations allowed to directly communicate with Nippon League players.
That's fine, but like that doesn't change the fact that he mentally, like, just the same as Yamamoto, he like went on his little tour so that like he could get blown by other organizations knowing that he was going to sign with the Dodgers. Like, Sasaki's just going to like do a little tour. It's like, yeah, like tell me how great I am so that right before I sign with the Dodgers. Like that, man.
Japan we're probably going to have the reverse Japan rule where they're not allowed to have more than like 3 foreign players on an MPB team.
Right.
We're going to have a rule. You can only have 3 Japanese guys because they're getting too good.
Yeah. And it's like it's almost like if you are playing in Japan and you're a star, it's like, well, you haven't made it until you play for the Dodgers. It's like, fuck.
Like, oh, you played in the major leagues, but did you play for the Dodgers?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that might actually be
I get it. I get it, Dice K. That's cool. Yeah. You weren't a Dodger.
Yeah.
Well, dude, the big reason why all these Japanese guys are coming over now is because of Shohei. And the same thing happened when Ichiro came. It's like a direct thing. Like the star guy, most famous guy in Japan goes to America, makes it big. Everyone else sees it and is like, I want to be that.
Yeah.
I always remember Kenji Jojima coming over to Seattle and then going back home. Like,
Yeah.
no, I'm good. You keep your money. This sucks over here. I'm going back.
Yeah.
I suck over here. I'm going back.
Yeah. It's just smart. You gotta stay in your lane. You
Hey, it's
gotta
a
know your
business
strengths.
Business decision, man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No problem.
Yeah. Jay, your thoughts on all of this here. Mainly want to know about like Soto and
I mean, we said it in the offseason that he was a perfect fit for this team. He was a perfect fit for playing home games at Yankee Stadium. And obviously when you hit 529 with an OPS approaching 1400 or whatever it is through the opening series, like nobody's going to quibble with that initial take, right?
600 OBP, Jay.
I do laugh at your comment about how Yankees fans are like, oh yeah, you know, he works good counts. He draws a lot of walks. It's like, he's literally on pace to draw more walks at his age than any player of all time. Like, it's like, yeah, that's the level to which he's drawing walks. I think it's great. I don't have the same like issue with the Yankees at this point that obviously a Red Sox fan primarily would, but like, I think it is great that he is in a position where we are induced to talk about him more frequently than we have been when he was languishing in like the non-World Series version of the Nationals and in this kind of purgatory in San Diego where, you know, I know we all got excited about the idea and certainly everybody involved with the Padres got very excited about the idea too. But like, practically speaking, that was underwhelming. And it was also more of a challenge to watch for me personally. Like, Juan Soto being on the Yankees means that I can watch every single Juan Soto game or very close to if I want to, right? Like there's an accessibility to him being, and I know that's an East Coast bias thing, but that's where I live. And this is my opinion and my ability to see Juan Soto, who I think is one of the 4 or 5 most watchable players in the game, is a great thing. So I hope that the rest of the Yankees do justice by him and Judge and allow the team to stay more relevant than they did during the course of last season. That's my greater concern, as opposed to like, what sort of performance are we getting from, you know, a guy on a Hall of Fame track?
Sure. Yeah. He just fits, you know, watching those games. Yeah. He's like, I don't know. He's just like more of a Yankee than I don't want to say
anything else.
Judge. Yeah.
But,
yeah. It's like, he just looks like he belongs. Like Alex Verdugo, for example, like you don't fit in there. Like you're not,
and I'll say this, and this is just a purely like, I'm so glad you said that, Jared, because I've thought about this take and like, I don't know that there's a way to tweet it without it being received sarcastically. So I'll say it. The minute that I walked into the new Yankee Stadium for the first time as a player, it had nothing. It did nothing for me. Nothing. The minute I walked in to the old Yankee Stadium, I started hyperventilating. I physically felt different because we all went to bed with stories about the heroes in that ballpark, about magical moments in that ballpark, and just a completely different vibe. So the idea of earning one's pinstripes and the idea of just looking different in the pinstripes. You don't have to say whose pinstripes when you say the pinstripes. We know who we're fucking talking about. So when he was rocking the gold pinstripes, it's almost like you could just, if you squint hard enough, you could see what the future looks like.
Mm.
And now, if you open your eyes, you can really see what the future could look like. And that's Juan Soto wearing the pinstripes. And he looks damn good in those pinstripes.
Mm.
There's also something aesthetically pleasing about a lefty-righty combo like that, right?
Just back to back. Yes. Yes.
Two all-time level players at the peak of their powers from opposite sides consecutively in the order. Like it doesn't
Just ready
really
to-
mean anything, but it's just kind of cool.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they're just ready to fucking Eiffel Tower everybody in your starting rotation.
That's absolutely a better way to put it. Yeah.
Yep. We'll see how that pans out.
Messy.
Very messy. Some bird talk here. Got some bird talk on deck. I don't know that there's a ton to say about the Jays Rays bench clearing incident. It's just kind of like a little shoving incident, whatever. But Corbin Burns on opening day for the O's, another bird team, 6 innings, 1 hit. That was a homer, whatever. Didn't walk anyone, punched out 11. Jay, hey, you had a stat that you shared with us on the opening day stream about Corbin Burns' opening day performance with Baltimore. Do you by any chance recall what it was? I know it put him in a very elite class.
Yeah, so he was the first person on opening day to allow one or fewer, I believe it was 0 walks, 1 or fewer runs, and 11 plus strikeouts since Bob Gibson in 1967.
Pretty good.
Wait,
Obviously, that's a little bit of fun with numbers, but it's that is true. That is true.
Hold on, repeat that again. Say that again.
So I believe
0?
his line was 6 innings pitched, right?
Yep.
One run, the Trout homer, 0 walks, and 11 strikeouts.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
So if you tick off, ignore the innings pitched, but if you just do 1 or fewer runs allowed, 0 walks, and 11 plus strikeouts, he's the first person to do so on opening day for his team since Bob Gibson in 1967.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, Bob
walk.
Gibson, pretty good.
That's what I.
No walks.
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, you can come up with different lists depending on what you do, but obviously when you generate a list that only includes Bob Gibson, you're like, okay, I'm going to roll with that one.
Well, I was thinking about a fella who I know you like and a guy who y'all know I'm in love with, Shane Bieber.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because Biebs dialed up 6 innings of 11 strikeout baseball. Yep. He also did not allow an earned run. Though. He just happened to walk a guy. That's the only difference.
Listen, brother, you think I'm not paying proper respects to Shane Bieber? I also had an opening day stream nugget on Shane Bieber. He joined Pedro in 98 and 2000 as the only pitchers in MLB history to have multiple starts of 11 strikeouts and 0 runs on opening day. Bieber also did this in 2020. Obviously, that opening day was in July, but
Bieber has been absolutely nasty on opening day.
I love what I saw specifically from him too. I know we weren't talking about Bieber. We were talking birds, but
we can move right on.
We got guards. We got guards. A's is on deck here. We'll get there, but wanted to show Corbin Burns some love. Also, Jackson Holiday hitting a bomb in his first at bat. It wasn't his first AAA at bat. He played like 16 or 18 games, whatever it was, at AAA last year.
Yeah, first at bat of the season.
First at bat of the season
against the lefty.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to go to AAA and see more left-handed pitching. Okay. Homer, first at bat off a lefty. What do you want me to do now? You want me to do it right-handed?
Yeah.
Can we call out one other person too on the O's?
Sure.
I want to call out Grayson Rodriguez because obviously,
thank you, Jay.
Corbin Burns was probably more electric and had like a sexier stat line, but this to me was more important because we all know Corbin Burns rocks. And Rodriguez, 6 innings, 1 earned, 9 strikeouts, and only 1 walk. And
changeup was nasty.
Yeah, real nasty. I know Dallas has got some shit to share. So, my point.
No, that's it.
Oh, okay. My point was that we're now 14 starts going back to the second half of last season, post All-Star break, where he's got a 2.50 ERA and about a strikeout per inning. So like this is, I think we're getting to the point where the Burns, Grayson Rodriguez 1-2 punch is like needs to be viewed at or near the top of the league, in my opinion, in terms of nastiness.
This is what we wanted to see. This is what we were talking about at the beginning of the season. If this rotation, if you can get Grayson Rodriguez, if the gas can continue to fill, then it's going to be a problem. He's going to be an issue because he's fucking good. He is good. It's just a matter of him hitting his stride. Him and Wells. Wells through 6 innings, 1 earning. But if you can get Grayson Rodriguez, that's beautifully put, Jay Hay. It is absolutely a 1-2 punch that you have to start putting some respect on the name.
Yeah, you do. Baltimore beat up on the Halos in the first 2, but then I don't know if you saw this, but Jesus was at the game on Sunday, so the Angels were able to pull out the victory on Easter. Congratulations to them on that victory. Now we can move forward. The guards taking 3 of 4 from the Oakland A's. Jay Hay, your thoughts and impressions from this series? I know there's not a ton you can take away from a series against the A's, like they're that bad, but like in I guess in regards to Shane Bieber, the velocity had ticked up big time, which was a major concern, not just last year. We're talking like 3 years of depreciated velocity. So what were your main takeaways from this guard series?
Yeah, I mean, it's, good tune-up, like kind of like an extended spring training sort of bout, which is exactly how you'd kind of want to ease into the season. I feel good about it. Dallas says it wasn't a stomping, 29-11 over 4 games. I mean, the real question was the sweep going to happen? And then, to kind of to lose on a walk-off in extra innings.
Who'd you run into? And then who'd you run into? Huh?
Go ahead.
You ran into Polly fucking Punch Out. That's who you ran into.
Yeah, Mr. Punch Outs with
that's who you ran into
instead of punching himself. Yeah.
He only needed 3 of them, Jay. Hey, he fucking slicing and dicing.
No, he had a really good start. Really good to avoid. Obviously they almost blew it with the guards getting 3 in the 8th, but they did manage. Yep, they did manage to sneak that one out. But no, I mean, the Bieber thing is 2 things are the standouts here. Bieber, as we already talked about, we watched that stream together. That was extremely impressive. The velocity thing is true. The break on his curveball was extremely important. The fact that he got 11 strikeouts, like you were talking about velocity. You don't even have to look at velocity to see the alarming trends with Shane Bieber, where his strikeout rate was just like like this since 2020, and to see him get 11 strikeouts over 6 innings was super encouraging. The second part, and this is less sexy, I guess, so I won't spend too much time on it, but Andres Giménez stinging the ball all over the park was to me like the most important thing from an offensive perspective, because he had some exit velocity issues last year, and how much success is he going? What sort of offensive player is he going to be? We know he's a standout defender, but that was a great start to the season, in as much as you can draw from 4 games on offense.
3 extra base hits or 4? Yep. 3 or 4 extra base hits for Giménez. Homer, a few doubles. Yeah, he looked really good. I'll tell you right now who I really like. Rocchio.
Yeah.
Like him.
He had a tough spring too. So
how I watched him. I watched him move around on the infield. I watched him take ground balls. I watched him kind of warm up, and I won't say that he does anything that's going to really catch your eye. Like, he's not maybe overly fast. Maybe it's not an 80 arm, but in terms of being in the right spot, in terms of looking like he's got a really good feel for what he's doing. That was something that caught my eye over those 4 days. So much so that I spent probably 20 minutes, maybe the last half hour of BP talking to Voter. And that was a name that I asked him about. And he just kind of nodded his head and was like, ball player. So he's a ball player. And I mean, that should mean a lot coming from a guy like that.
Yeah. My thing with him is that I have hopes that he's going to follow in the footsteps of guys like Giménez and Lindor and Joe Ram, where they get more offense out of their kind of bat questionable middle infielders than you would ever anticipate them getting out of those guys. And so I agree with you. There's a lot to like already. And I'm like cautiously optimistic that his offense is going to play above what we've seen in the minor leagues and obviously what we saw in spring training.
What I'm curious about your lineup, though, is are they, because again, and I mean, fair is fair, don't know that it's the greatest litmus test out of the gate to gauge whether or not the shift in approach to concede contact in pursuit of power is something that they're going to be able to continually do and succeed in doing. But one thing, I mean, if you were unsure about Stephen Vogt's acumen, if you were unsure about what you thought you were going to get from a managerial perspective, if you watched this series, I don't want to say that you had your questions answered, but I feel like you should feel really good about how things are going, because he not only identified things in real game speed time and exposed them, but continued to do so. And when it came time to try to create a cushion and extend a lead, he made decisions that might not be as sexy in the immediate, but runners on first and second late in a game, and we don't have this big 5-run lead like I like to, I will put the ball on the ground and I will move my runners up so that what happens when I get that hit, I get 2 guys that come around. And it's stuff like that where you're comfortable with that, because you could easily say, I thought we were going to try to hit the ball with more power. I thought we were going to try to hit it hard. Yeah, we are. But we also know who we are. And what do we do really well? We put pressure on the pitcher with quality at bats and putting the ball in play. So let's move my guys up. Let's get back, or let's do what we do and execute. So I think it was a great series for Stephen Vogt to introduce himself to the Guardians fans.
I saw Stephen Vogt twice in spring training. I went to 2 Guardians games, and I made sure to watch him because it's very important how a manager sits there. And I liked how he sat. It was it was a calming presence. And I think the first series he's off to a great start sitting.
70 grades sit for
he was sitting. Vogt. This game's supposed to be on the top step, bro.
I made sure to put the camera on him because we always used to, he used to do fucking give signs and shit, and just how he was. Just doing it quick and short. It's just he's such a fucking peach of a human, man. He is. But it couldn't have been, honestly, it couldn't have been a better place for him to start out, considering how things started in his career. He's got a lot of history in that ballpark. Big knock, game-winning knock in the 2013 ALDS, I believe. Last at bat in Oakland is a fucking homer. His first series as a manager is in Oakland. Like it all couldn't have been better for him. So congratulations to him. But that's all.
This Dodger series, a lot of hype around this one, because you had, first and foremost, it's Shohei, it's Mookie, Shohei, Freddie in the lineup. It's Yamamoto's LA debut after a very shit debut in Korea that almost ruined the father-daughter bond between Jae-Hae and his daughter. This was redemption. This was redemption for Yamamoto. This was the unveiling of Shohei in LA. And this was, lost in the fold here is the home opener starter is Tyler Glasnow. He's the fucking guy that gets the ball in the home opener. He's the guy that just got an extension that no one's talking about because they gave $1 billion to Shohei and Yamamoto. But the I would say, is this a hot take to say that Bobby Miller was the show stealer in all of this? Like I watched Bobby Miller pitch and I was like, I kind of want to change my Cy Young pick. I very much enjoy me some Bobby Miller. This is how the rotation shook out in this 4-game series against the St. Louis Cardinals. Tyler Glasnow, 6 innings, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. Bobby Miller, 6 innings, 2 hits, 0 earned runs, 1 walk, 11 strikeouts. Yoshinobu Yamamoto, 5 innings, 2 hits, 0 earned runs, no walks, 5 strikeouts. And then Gavin Stone, 5 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. That is a combined ERA of 1.64 for these 4 Dodger starters. Paint me impressed. Color me impressed for the first series here against the Cardinals.
You know what's crazy is Yamamoto is the same exact age, not exact, but same age, 25, as Gavin Stone and Bobby Miller.
There you go.
And me.
And you.
Which is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But you would think Yamamoto would be way older than them just because he's made the trip across the sea.
Mm-hmm.
And how many fucking Cy Youngs under his belt? 3?
3 Japanese Cy Youngs.
3 Sawamura Awards. 3.
Konnichiwa. But I'll be honest, man, I was a little worried because didn't you think it was a little weird? You pay Yamamoto, the highest paid pitcher of all time, 3 Samamuras, which is not easy. 25 years old, beast. You pay him highest pitcher ever, and he's not the opening day starter. And Glasnow is. That to me seemed a little weird, like they didn't have trust in him. And then he blows the game in Korea, pitches terribly, 1 inning. And if you notice, when they came back, Glasnow started the first game in America, but then the second game, it was not Yamamoto. It was Bobby Miller. So I was like, that was kind of concerning for me.
You're concerned about that?
To me, that seemed like the Dodgers were like worried about Yamamoto. We don't really know if he's ready yet, if he's prepared. They didn't have trust in him.
Joe, maybe there's something to being able to manipulate the rotation. So let's say there's something that needs to be paid attention to, whether it's a mechanical adjustment or a pitch that needs to be focused on and worked on. Maybe they're able to say, you know what, let's push him back, get him an extra day or so off the mound so we can hammer this point home, really look into what we're taking a look at, and then make some adjustments and run him out there after that. How's that sound? And everybody said,
well,
amen.
What about how, when we talk about him pitching in Korea and how it was a disaster of an outing and everyone just kind of attributed that to nerves. And you come back to the States and it's like, all right, well, we'll slot you in third here. What about when it comes playoff time? What if he's statistically the best pitcher on the Dodgers and he's your game 1 starter? Do I have to be worried about fucking nerves now with Yamamoto in the playoffs?
What are we doing? What are we doing?
I need you both.
Joe has led you down a terrible path here.
He's a choke artist.
Did anybody
dude.
watch
He's
the
a
second start?
Straight up choke artist.
Apparently not, Jay.
Listen, I saw it. It was raining. It doesn't really count. All right. It's hard to hit in the rain. Everyone knows it is.
It's hard to hit in the rain.
It threw off the hitters. He had a good start.
Might be harder to pitch in the rain. And
the fans go away. The fans go home, and there's no one there watching, and it's like there's no nerves. So it's like obviously he's gonna have a good start.
He came back out after a rain delay as well. Like he resumed his start, which you don't often see. Hardly ever. You don't see a starter resume his outing.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if he's the guy that can handle it. Yeah, I don't know.
He's like, oh, they all went home. I need to pitch. Now I'm in my comfort zone. No pressure. Everybody's not watching.
I don't know how anybody could watch those first 2 starts and come away with a conclusion other than he just didn't have it in the first start and very much was back on things in the second start. Like he was pretty pinpoint from what I could tell across 5 innings in his second start and literally could not find the strike zone. And he tried, I'm assuming, in 1 inning in the first start. Like I would hate to be pinned to a take that says Yamamoto's a puss.
Well, that's where Joey and Jared are at right now. Yamamoto can't pitch in the big game. Yamamoto can't step it up. That's where Jared and Joey are on the record. Unbelievable.
That's funny because I actually just clipped Jay saying Yamamoto is a puss. Those words never came out of my mouth. That was Jay's mouth.
I mean, all right, jokes aside, to go back to Jared's point about, is it weird that he was more impressed by Bobby Miller? I don't think so, because the one thing that I'm taking away, and maybe this should have been obvious before the season, but was really hammered home by watching these, primarily the first 3 pitchers, is that we can say Seattle's rotation might be the best or whatever. This is the nastiest rotation in terms of like a visual experience watching the stuff play against batters in the league. And there's really no reason to suspect that it's not going to be that way, because all we've been waiting for is Glasnow to be fully available. It's not like his stuff isn't nasty every single time that he's out. If Yamamoto is the number 3 starter in this rotation come playoff time, I think you can spin that as being actually super encouraging as opposed to discouraging, because it means that Tyler Glasnow's pitching in the postseason, and it means that Bobby Miller has probably fully blossomed in this season.
I mean, just look at their injured list. It's a full-on starting rotation. It's Walker Buehler, Tony Gonsolin, Kershaw, Dustin May, Emmett Sheehan. That's probably one of the best.
I really want Dustin May to come back and be impactful. I've got questions. Because this is after the second one now.
Yep.
I mean, it's going to be lightning in a bottle.
The good thing is they don't need him. Like the way that the Yankees need Garrett Cole to come back.
Yeah, they don't.
Like Dustin May, I mean, all of these guys that Joe just mentioned, they're added bonus at this point.
Oh yeah, well that's why the Dodgers are sitting where they're sitting in terms of projections and what this division is going to look like and play out. I mean, there's been a lot of attention paid to it, rightfully so, but I do think that, what Mookie Betts has done, come on, man. 4 homers in 29 plate appearances. He's been on base 18 times. He's got 6 extra base hits, 10 RBIs, 7 walks, 2 punch outs. And there's going to be a lot of conversation about what the defense does to the offense. How does that look in 3 months? But as of right now, pretty fucking ridiculous. Pretty ridiculous. It seems like watching them come back the other night. What was it, last night? Teoscar Hernandez, Max Muncy. Like, are you serious? Max Muncy hit that ball 1,000 feet.
Yeah, he did.
I texted him. I said, "You are pure sex." and he just sent me back the gif of him watching a video like on the rail in the dugout after hitting a homer where he's like, "Yep." But like, it just feels like that team, I feel like they could start playing today and their lineup is so good and so long that they have a chance to win games that have already been lost and recorded in the books. Like, they can still come back. That's how good they are.
What a treat for fans too, to see those 3 guys coming up next inning. Those 3 guys, it's just
yeah, any 3.
Yeah, I meant the MVPs, but yeah.
Sure.
Crazy. Yeah, the only other things that I had here kind of just got slipped in yesterday. Joey Bart just DFA'd by the Giants.
Yep.
I mean, former number 2 overall pick in the 2018 MLB draft. A dude that I believe at one point I picked for Rookie of the Year coming into a pod.
Well,
and DFA'd by the Giants.
He fucked his thumb up, right? Like right after, was it after the fall league? I think it was after the fall, because he tore the fall league up, torched the fall league, and then like fractured thumb, set him back, and it just feels like for whatever reason, like that was just, he just could never get back on the rails.
But that is part of the danger of a catching prospect, right? Is that
sure
they are put at risk for that sort of thing, and whether it's a thumb or a finger or whatever, it could be anything, concussions, like those sorts of things. Like that's why the developmental path for catching prospects is as treacherous as any position player side prospect development. And like, listen, you can play this guessing game with basically any draft ever. But just for like context, like he was brought up number 2 overall pick. Some notable players taken after him in that very same draft include Grayson Rodriguez, Logan Gilbert, Matt McClain, Tristan Cassis, Nico Horner. So a lot of talent came after McClanahan. A lot of talent after him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big mess.
Do want to shed some light on the Royales with cheese.
Yes, good call.
They're starting pitching. Brady Singer. How about it, young fella? Would love to see him step into his own. Would love to see. He's got a lot of moxie. I would love to see him say, you know what? Yeah, I'm here. I'm a dude we can depend on. I'm a dude that we can rely on. And I think his initial start is a good sign of that. 7 innings, 3 hits, 10 punch outs for Singer. Cole Reagans, who I know is a darling for a lot of fantasy owners who were like, oh, this dude? Yeah, 6 innings, 2 earnings, 9 of them things. He had 9 punchies. And Lugo, 6 innings, 2 hits, no earned runs. So great job. But go ahead, Jay.
No, I wanted, since you brought up Brady Singer, that dovetailed nicely with something I wanted to bring up, which was like, I think when we think of the Royals, historically, we don't even have to think about it. Just factually, they are one of the teams with the least amount of offensive power ever. Like they've got like that run of like Jorge Soler was like the first guy to hit 40 homers in fucking 1,000 years when he did it for the Royals or whatever. And they also, on the other side, they don't have a lot. They traditionally have not had a lot of swing and miss in their rotation. And Brady Singer got 10 strikeouts in his start. And it was the first time since 1977 that they had a single game where they had 5 homers from the offense and a 10 strikeout performance from their pitcher. 1977. Like that's like a yearly event for some.
That's almost 50 years. That's almost 50 years.
So just, I don't know that they're going to do a lot of that this year, but you outlined why, and they invested in that rotation, right? With Waka and Lugo, one of whom you brought up. I don't know. We talked about it in the preview pod. I'm cautiously optimistic on them and the Tigers to be a lot more relevant in the Central than they were last season. And so far, so good.
Jay, was that your MVP pick, Jay?
It was. I wasn't going to bring it up, but that's very classy.
No, I'll fucking bring it up because I don't think anybody was slobbing this dude as hard as I was. I mean, I love it, and you know what? Like I think
we're talking Bobby Witt, by the way. Yeah.
Like if you like maybe if I don't take 2 extra bong rips that day, I probably go with Bobby Witt Jr. for AL MVP.
I saw Jared's tweet too. I think he might be having some Witt flavored regret.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I love Bobby Witt. Interviewed him last year at Fenway. We talked about how we both love the Boston Red Sox and how our dreams growing up as children was to play for the Boston Red Sox, and obviously his still is at some point. But I said that he's strongly challenging the spot for my favorite active player in Major League Baseball right now.
Because he's so, I mean, he just does it all. Like when he does it all.
That.
And like when
and he's not a dickhead.
Ball player,
like there are guys, dude, we don't have to name any names, that are super talented and they just lose touch with reality. You know, like they enter that tier 1 talent space and then they just think that they're God's gift to the world and like they don't operate like a normal human being anymore. We don't have to mention any names. Just guys that are complete douchebags and like they just, I like fedoras now, like stuff like that. But
seems pretty pointed.
No, and like a lot of people that wear fedoras if they're douchebags, but Bobby Witt just still the same kid, just still sleeps in his race car bed, goes and hits and steals bases and plays great defense, and he's just a normal kid that you can just talk to like a normal human being.
I really hope we never wake up and see Witt wearing a fedora.
Oh my god! Yeah, he's the dude. Like when we did a card break at the Coliseum, I was like, hey, how's it going, brother? Blah blah blah. He's like, yes sir, you know, oh yes sir, and I said, look, you're gonna have to fucking stop with that. Because we're not going to break cards together with you calling me sir. That's just not going to be a fucking thing. And I understand and I appreciate the respect thing. And he kind of makes it a joke now. But to your point about him, just like the character, that is a build around me piece, which is why I was screaming from the minute the dude showed up. You can see what this looks like. You see what this is. Don't be late to this party. Don't do that to yourself. And they didn't. And they paid him. And I mean, he's off to an incredible start. 545. He's got 3 doubles, a triple, a jack. I mean, he's doing it.
And just to sorry, go ahead, Joey.
No, it's fine. I was going to say something stupid as shit, so it's better if you say it.
Oh, now I don't want to follow that up with just like some lame stat or whatever.
Yeah.
No, seriously, we're on about 100 games now, going back to early June of last season, where Bobby Witt has legitimately been one of the very best players in the AL. So it's not he's off to a hot start. I mean, he is, but like it's not just he's off to a hot start. It's like we may very well be looking. Listen, it's an uphill battle for the MVP. As much as I would like to think that it's not, like the Royals probably have to be at least a 500 team for that to enter into the viability conversation. Giving voting trends. But if we're just talking about, to Jared's point, exciting player and like legitimately excellent player, he's there and has been.
Oh yeah.
Literally first in the AL in wins above replacement since June 11th of last season.
Yeah. Jared, I can't wait for you to send me that fucking Bobby Witt powder blue. That's gonna look so fucking good.
For what?
Well, you don't remember? Now you're gonna act like you don't. That's fine. We'll talk about it.
What is that?
That's another one. Cool.
Last note here, the Royce Lewis injury, right quad strain. They're saying at least a month, but you could be looking at best case scenario 2 months that he's going to be sidelined. Austin Martin got called up to take his roster spot, but yeah, the Twins with a devastating blow here. As this, I don't want to call it a breakout. Like, you know, I think we know the talent that we're dealing with here. It sucks. If we're looking at about 2 months here, that is a big blow in a division that could be up for grabs. Could be up for grabs here with the guards. This is this something, Jay Hay, that was on your radar big time?
I mean, Royce Lewis's lack of availability was a known feature of his situation entering this season. That it happened so soon this season after such an electric start to his 2024 and 2023 postseason. Like, yeah, it sucks. Like on a per game basis, you can make a very credible argument that Royce Lewis has been, anytime he plays, like one of the 10 best offensive players in baseball. Like he really is that good or has been that good. But yeah, I think it's a significant blow. I think it's a 2 or 3 win blow for the Twins. And I think the margin for error in that division may be a little bit tighter than we thought, to the points about how possibly competent the Tigers and Guardians and Royals look relative to some recent versions of those teams. And I had some questions. I didn't think that the Twins were quite as talented as the consensus seemed to be entering the season, and they just lost their most talented per game player. So we'll see how that works out.
Yep. We'll keep our ears to the ground.
Didn't they say they could be out for like 2 months?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's gonna be a hot minute,
that.
dude.
That's sad.
When we say did they say that? It was literally Jared.
Did you mean Jay Hay?
Yeah.
You mean they?
I was just, I was thinking about something else. I was thinking about his home run. He opened the season.
Welcome
with the
back,
home
Joe.
run.
Yeah. He opened the season 2 for 2. That was it.
Well, isn't it crazy that this is a guy? I mean, he's the same. Isn't he not just Byron Buxton and they're on the same team? It's kind of the story. I mean, he hasn't played as much as Byron Buxton, but still.
No, but to have your two most
devastating. How devastating would that be? Not even devastating, but how heartbreaking would that be? To have let's say Byron Buxton plays 140 games this year, and you get nothing from Royce Lewis.
Well, nothing would be heartbreaking because he's supposed to be out for 2 months. So
it's like, what happened?
Yeah,
he lost the leg.
It's a quad.
Well, I'm just saying, it's a huge part of what he's going to be doing.
Yeah.
You massage it out.
I don't think I have a quad muscle to pull. The double bad. This is the final point on Royce Lewis. Like the kind of double hit here is that one of their top prospects is Brooks Lee, who would be a natural fit to call up and replace him at third base. But he was, I think, dealing with lower back pain and is supposed to be out for a little while too. So like they have to cobble together some sort of. I know they called up Austin Martin specifically, but like they're going to have to cobble together some sort of like rotating chairs infield situation between some of their spots to bridge the gap here. I don't know. It's going to be a challenge.
Sure is. Yep, we'll keep an eye on that situation. There anything else you guys are burning on?
We got to shout out the Tigers, man.
Go ahead and shout out them Tigers.
They're undefeated, baby.
Yeah.
Scoobs.
Scoobs.
Lights out. Then they had our other friend of the podcast, Dallas. Who? You don't want to say his name?
No.
Who?
We talked about
Jack Flaherty. Come on. Lights out. Everyone was down on him. Signed a little measly contract with the Tigers. No one wanted him. First game, lights out. I think Tigers, early, looking good. They also got Shelby Miller, and that's fun to watch. It's funny to see a name like that still popping around.
Shelby Miller.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the Tiger, man. I think the Tigers, I'm rooting for them. They're my new Phillies. I like them more than the Phillies.
They're my new Phillies. Kenta Maeda, not so much. But yeah.
No.
Scooble's going to be fun to watch. Obviously, in a lot of Cy Young conversations, I think, or in a lot of preseason Cy Young predictions. And we did just start following each other on Instagram.
Oh, look at that.
We've
We've been following each other because we hung out a couple years ago.
Me too.
No big deal. Yeah.
I blocked him, so he doesn't follow me.
Yeah, we've been friends. Been friends for a few years, actually.
What you
The return of Mike Soroka in that series, too, as well, right? Didn't go super great, but
He's back.
No.
That counts for something.
He's back.
Yeah,
he's back,
out
and
there.
that's all we care about. He's back. He's playing baseball. It's in the big.
Yep.
That's right.
Well,
yeah, happy to see him.
the
up
White
there.
Sox are also back, baby. 0-3 to start the season.
Yeah, but Lou Bob.
They were
Lou
not.
Bob hot.
They were not relegated.
Yeah,
They were allowed.
they
back.
are still in the Central. My final thought is shout out to J.D. Davis, who I think anytime you go through what he went through on the business side of the game and you quite literally have your salary, just slashed. I think that can do something to you probably emotionally. The idea of feeling like, now I don't fit here. Now I'm the odd man out. Now I get moved, getting the salary cut. I end up in Oakland. Great. It's opportunity. How's this going to go? Well, he's done a great job of just putting all that shit aside and just getting to work. I talked about him showing up in minor league camp when he first came over and just did a great job of getting right after it. And he just had his third multi-homer game, homers 69 and 70. So I know it probably felt really good for him to get off to that kind of a start.
Jay, hey, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I got two final thoughts. Joey brought up Jack Flaherty, something to call out there. Obviously, the velocity increase was something that people were noticing during the spring, but what was more noticeable in his first start was all the sliders that he threw. He threw 40 sliders in that game and had great success. Actually, they were 0 for 9 with 4 strikeouts against the pitch. But that is the most sliders that he's thrown in almost exactly 3 years. So that to me is one of those stats that stands out as something to watch for in future starts. Like maybe the Tigers' approach here is, hey, Jack, throw a shitload of sliders. And maybe that change in approach will be sustainable and worth noting. And then I know we talked about the Yankee side of things, and I know we all still expect Houston to be good, but they are 0-4. And it is the first time that they are 0-4 since 2011. And that, for those who forget, was the season that started off 3 consecutive sub-60 win seasons. And was basically the losing foundation upon which all of these great Houston Astros teams were built. For little fun, remember those guys. The team leaders in at-bats for that team was Carlos Lee and some other people that populated that roster: Michael Bourne, Hunter Pence, Brett Wallace, and JD Martinez.
Wow.
Those are my final thoughts.
What was Carlos Lee's nickname? El Caballo?
El Caballo.
El Caballo. What does that mean? The horse?
The horse.
Yeah. El Caballo.
It's a pretty good nickname.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that.
He's fucking.
My
Rhys.
final thought. Shout out to the Cincinnati Reds. Starting out the season 2-1 yesterday, back-to-back home runs in the bottom of the ninth. Will Benson, Christian Encarnacion Strand getting it done in Cincy. I still haven't done opening day in Cincinnati. That's still a goal of mine. That's a bucket list item. Maybe I should have done it this year, but I don't know. We did the stream this year. One of these years, I'm going to get to Cincinnati for
If we're doing
Chili
opening
sucks.
day in the NL Central, it's going to be in fucking Pittsburgh. Because as cute as that
No.
2-1 start is, it wasn't 4-0. Shout out, Bucks.
Yeah, I understand that, but it's a party in Cincinnati. We figured that out on the live stream, right, Jay? Hey, why is Cincinnati like the
Because-
big opening day spot?
Because the Cincinnati Red Stockings were the first openly all professional baseball unit in existence in the country.
Oh,
So
There
they
you go.
were honored with the tradition of opening day there. It's a big deal. I was there once, got to eat Skyline chili. Shit sucks.
Still wearing it.
It's incomprehensible to me that is a local delicacy. Just noodles and chili. Pathetic.
Pathetic.
Shout out
Jake
to
Steaks?
shout out to the Hoffer B Lark.
Hell yeah.
Dallas, what can you tell us about Oakland A's starting pitcher tonight, Joe Boyle? Because we were kind of giving him some shit in the Section 10 series look ahead last night.
I can tell you that Joe Boyle rules.
Still got a sweep.
That's Joe
Did he
Boyle
throw like
throws 100
98?
miles an hour.
Mhm.
That's what I got for you. Joe Boyle's going to be shoving cheese biscuits up the ass of the Red Sox lineup tonight. That's what I got for you. That's what I got for you. But more importantly, Jake, what do you have for me on the weather? How's the weather out there? And you know what? You know what, Jake? Let's switch it up. Because I typically have been able to rely on weather reports in Boston. I've got a source.
Mm.
But let's say I wanted to know what the weather was going to be like in Oakland. Would you be able to help me out there? Is there another source that you could help, that you could lead me to maybe? Like, let's say I wanted to know what the weather was going to be like in Boston.
Mm.
Who would I go to? Do you have somebody I could go to?
Yeah, you would want to hit up Steve from the Section 10 podcast. He'll tell you all about the weather in Boston.
Major controversy right now.
Yeah. It's looking like 57 degrees in Oakland tonight. A lot different than our report last night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what punishment Steve has coming his way, but it's going to be hefty. It's going to be hefty. It's going to be like Sandoval hefty.
He should have to sit on a weather vane.
What is
Steve should have to stand outside on a roof with an umbrella in the rain.
Weather vane is like the thing that blows in the wind and
Yeah, it's the
No,
metal
yeah.
thing. That
Yeah, it's like the rooster with the,
Yeah.
with the
Yeah,
I was going to
directional-
say
Yeah.
Steve should have to sit on a
a
weather
metal rooster.
weather rooster, if you will.
All right. We'll be back on Wednesday. And we haven't yet
I didn't
decided.
do my final thoughts.
Yes, you did. Didn't you fucking shout out Flaherty and the Tigers? That was your final
Oh.
thought. The fuck?
Okay.
Do you want another
I didn't
final
think
thought?
that was my final thought, but
You
keep
literally
thinking.
said it. Ugh, go ahead. Do you have another final thought? Go ahead.
I was going to shout out Tyler Matzik. Remember Tyler Matzik on the Braves?
Yeah.
Huge ball, struck out Mookie in the playoffs,
Mhm.
was injured, came back this week, and pitched great.
Mhm.
Jesse Chavez for the Braves was not on the Braves, came back, pitched great. Adam Duvall wasn't on the Braves, came back, played great. The boys are back in town. This Braves team. I said it once, said it again. Come October, they'll be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So thank you. Was that so hard?
No.
Just a final thought, dude.
It's just final thoughts, plural. But we'll be back on Wednesday. We have not yet decided who will be the guest seat. You have any ideas, Dallas? Do you have anyone in mind?
Yeah, I got ideas. I mean,
All right, let's
didn't wanna-
talk about it offline. I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to tease anything that we may not deliver.
Exactly.
But yeah, but I mean, it's the first one, so I mean, we got a wide net to cast here. Joseph will be back next Monday. So we're gonna converse, and we're gonna have someone sit in as the guest seat in Joe's
Denver.
absence, and then the Thursday
Denver Lander's
episode.
my vote.
We're gonna get Ben in here. Yeah. You think I won't? I love Ben.
Same. So do I.
Of course you do.
You don't want to have that. You don't want to be here for that, Joe?
I would love to be here. You know, I know Dallas has said some things, mentioned him on Twitter. And I think a guy like me could maybe mend the bridge or mediate a fight. And I think that's what people want. People have been waiting for, there's like a
They're bloodthirsty.
unspoken tension out there between Ben Verlander, Dallas Braden.
Oh, it's not
and the
unspoken.
Oakland
It's
A's.
very spoken. Yeah.
I put word to it.
Yeah, he did. He put it in text. But all right. We'll be back on Wednesday. We'll see you then.
We gone.